Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, 28th of January 2026. This is the Cluster API office hour. And usual reminder that we abide to the CNCF code of conduct. Otherwise, at the beginning of our meeting, we give time to new attendees to introduce themselves. So if you are a new attendee, please raise your hand, say hi to everyone. Okay, so let's keep moving. Open proposal readout. We have two open proposals. Independent work topology version external CI. Is there someone that want to give an update?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for reviewing that and providing feedback. Excited to get started on that. So for next steps, is next step probably formalize the consolidate the feedback and formalize it in like a PR design doc.
So I think so. Personally, I find that the first iteration in the Google Doc goes faster than in a PR. But I don't know, Stefan, do you have an opinion about this one?
I think probably your first point is your first comment here is the interesting one, which is a little bit how we want to proceed on a high level. Because if you basically say like we extract like one or two or three or bigger pieces and do them up front, then that would also have influence in like, I don't know, what is the content of the proposal that we put into a PR, right? That changes a few things. So maybe we should decide on that stuff first and then see what a good next step is. And not potentially not everything that we might want to handle up front also needs a proposal. I mean, very likely a bunch of the stuff doesn't need a proposal, but just the core feature by itself. So,
Yeah, maybe
good mention this point.
that's the key. So there are a couple of things to figure it out, as Stefan is saying. In my opinion, if we set up our current meeting, I don't know, bi-weekly meeting, we can discuss them, try to get them to nail them down quickly. So we have from one side we have let me say the quick win that will set up the ground for the work on the actual work, and the proposal sort of fit in the middle between the quick win and the actual work. So
yeah. So I think another way to phrase what I was saying before is I think the next thing would be, and ideally we just talk in a Zoom session or something, is just to break it down in like a few big blocks that we think should be done and in which order, and then we can just work through them in a row and see which one of those like require proposal PR or just change or a bit of research. But this sort of breakdown is probably good as the next thing, and that we get a consensus on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll reach out on Slack about timing and for setting up that recurring touch point, and then we can go from there. Awesome. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Thank you for the proposal, and I really appreciate the effort just to show everyone that we respect that the first time I look at this proposal, now it is, apart of being 18 page long, there is a lot of use cases, scenario consideration about testing. It is really an extensive work of research, and yeah, thank you. Really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. I have to give a shout out to Cody. He's on the call. He did a lot of the work on the proposal.
Yeah,
Takes
thank you.
village. Hey.
Mhm. Okay. So, of course, this was about the independent worker topology version, which is, in other words, allow each machine deployment or machine pool to have their own version when managing with cluster class. Okay. There are updates for external CA. If not, we also provided feedback for this PR. We can keep moving also there. Let's go back to our agenda. So first topic is mine, and yeah, just a PSA. New blog post on Kubernetes about latest release. Everyone should be aware of this, but we are starting getting question. I think it's nice to give a little bit of visibility and some ideas about things, but also more important to thank in a more visible way everyone worked to the release team, etc., etc. Comments? Otherwise, we keep going. Stefan, you have the next one.
Yeah, just a bit of a PSA that I don't know who remembers, but basically roughly a year ago, Fabrizio started that effort to, let's say, refactor Capdi, that it can have multiple backends merged in memory in the Docker provider. And also, if there is interest at some point, we can also consider making the kubemark provide another backend. And we basically, I wouldn't necessarily like revive that effort because it was always sort of the idea that we have to wait a while before we can continue. But basically now we're continuing. That's like a bit of the umbrella issue tracking the outstanding work. And the trigger was a little bit that Kartik was asking for like, hey, where can I contribute? Which is very good. So he's going to continue this work here, and I'll review accordingly. We have to see at which point we're going towards the steps where we're actually going to remove stuff. For now, the main focus is to introduce a few more additional things. So, for example, we have like a dev cluster and a dev machine as like the new version of a doc class in a Docker machine. We do not have a dev machine pool yet, so that's something that we're going to add. Then we're going to definitely deprecate. I mean, we sort of wrote in a proposal a year ago that Docker cluster, et cetera, is deprecated, but I think I'm not saying that that was not valid, but I think at least we should make it more visible in the sense of actually deprecating the CRDs and like on the Go types, on the CRDs, and that so that everyone gets warnings everywhere for this sort of stuff. And then we want to essentially move our end-to-end testing core copy over. That at the very least they're using dev cluster, dev machine pool instead of Docker everything. And then we have to discuss a little bit, but the goal is definitely to move a bunch of our end-to-end tests over from the Docker provider to in-memory provider to make them a lot quicker. Because in a lot of cases, it doesn't really matter if you have a real infrastructure behind it or not. And our end-to-end tests now are running, I think, like 2 hours, 2 hours 20. So they have become way too slow. I mean, good thing we added more coverage, bad thing, the job got slower. So now this is a way out of it. Yeah, but eventually there's definitely the plan that we're going to remove Docker class, Docker machine pool. We did not finalize a timeline there. I would definitely recommend everyone using Capdi, and I know there are some people using Capdi, to already start using the new dev stuff as soon as possible. So if you are only relying on dev cluster and dev machine, you can already switch today. If you also rely on dev machine pool, you'll have to wait for that. Didn't really discuss it yet, but depending on how much change it is, I would even consider backporting dev machine pool a little bit in older versions, just because we have a bit of a story of like that we have tests that are installing old versions of cluster API. And then with machine pools, that only works if that machine pool is also an old version. Let's say if somehow possible, I wouldn't wait another year or something to drop Docker machine pool, etc., etc. The dev stuff has been there for a while. We made it pretty clear in general that this is basically just for testing. So I think we don't need like a year or multi-year long deprecation and removal timeline. It's just too much work to go for that. But so this is all like a heads up warning combination all in one. Just if you're using Capdi, be aware of that. Try to adopt the dev stuff as soon as you can. Just that and that it's not just stopped working at some point for you. Functionality-wise, like the fields, they're identical. We're not dropping functionality. We just put them into a different, slightly different YAML structure, basically.
Okay, thank you very much,
That's
Stefan. And definitely, I agree. This is a dev provider. There are the official guarantee about 1 year deprecation. I don't think they apply here. Okay, talking about our API types. So, as you may know, in our book, what we do today is that we don't have a proper documentation about CRD. We are linking to this website, and it provides a documentation. But yeah, I think we can do better. So while looking at another project, I figured it out that they are using this tool. Nope, sorry, this tool to generate CRD. I give a quick which is used by several projects. I tried quickly, seems to work. So it would be nice if someone has a little bit of bandwidth and try to see if it is possible to use this tool to generate our documentation. It should be possible. There are maybe some details to be figured out. Stefan?
Can you maybe just read the comment from Richard and say something about that? Because I think you were saying that these projects are related in the Zoom chat.
Oh, that's
yeah,
a good point.
we use in Kappa, we use something different, but
Yeah, just
I
if
don't
I
know,
remember
yeah.
correctly, then I think Fabrizio was saying that one might be a slightly other version of the other one, or I might have misunderstood you this afternoon, Fabrizio.
They are related. So you're using this one, which was the original one from Ahmet. But there is this warning, and it points to the other one. So I don't have strong opinion one or the other. But if the author of the project tells, hey, I'm not maintaining, is not super actively maintained, consider use, I don't know. This one has a lot of good reference, by the way. So I'm even fine to use this one. I don't have a strong opinion, one or the other. Yeah, and that's also a really good point. So how does it work for if you're using for Kappa? I think that is it can be used without many problems. Richard?
It is working. But yeah, I guess we put that in ages ago, so we hadn't seen that warning. So I guess I can move Kappa to what you're suggesting, and then maybe do that then into Cappy if you wanted. That would be helpful.
I don't know. Honestly, I was looking. It you know, it's not entirely not maintained. But yeah, I looked into one, but I think they are very, very similar. So, Stefan?
Maybe worst case, if we need a PR merged, I can just trade PRs against this thing with controller runtime PRs with Ahmed. Might be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been talking with each other like for years, so I think
Yeah.
he's always fine with like if you need a small fix here and there. Yeah,
Yeah,
should not be a big deal.
exactly. So if Richard tell us this one works well, let's start with this one. I don't have strong opinions. I think what I care about is that we keep in our hand generation of CRDs, basically. That's the real point. Let's yeah, or okay. Yeah, if someone want to pick this up, it is both this one and the one about CapD are nice topic to get started contributing. Okay, I will take Richard is sharing how it looks like in Kappa. And yep, and I think that's good enough for us, basically.
Isn't this looking pretty much the same as what you showed me, or we're using the same or the other tool?
I was using the other, but it looks more or less the same.
Very similar.
It is very similar. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just one last comment from my side. I would just like to get to a point where this does not stay like a recurring topic where every half year we're doing something else, and then because basically we have been linking to various sites, and then like, oh, this is unmaintained, and now it has a bug. Would be just good to have this mostly done. Both tools seem to be fine for that. Yeah.
Yep. Same reason why I created the issue. Okay. If that's okay, we can move to the next one. Richard.
Yeah, just a quick one. It's the FOSDEM conference this weekend. So if anyone from the community, there's only a few of us on this call, but I'll put it in the channel as well, is going to Brussels on Saturday or Sunday and wants to meet up, talk about CAPI or related things, that'd be good. That's it, really.
Yep. Thank you. If someone will be in Brussels, reach out for Richard, have a beer together. Otherwise, we can move to next one, which is provider update. Matt?
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know the long overdue Cap Z release we finally got out last week. And I want to make sure we thank Christian. I mean, a lot of people actually helped with the PR that got us to 111, but Christian really put in a lot of time, and we super appreciate it. And a couple of patch releases as well, but I think we're back on track to keep up with Cappy. We kind of fell behind.
Thank you, and kudos to Christian for helping. Next one, also new.
Yeah, and we've been keeping Cap H, as we call it, the Helm add-on provider, up to date, and we did a release last week that brings things up to date with CAPI 112 and some other dependencies. Not a lot of substantive changes.
Nice. Richard?
Yeah, Kappa did the 210.1. I guess the most important fix in there is we're now honoring the TLS config flags on the manager. We were completely ignoring them before that. And there's a few other things related to Rosa in there as well. But the main thing is TLS config.
That's a good change. I'm just wondering if it might. I do not remember if we are documenting or suggesting provider to implement those flags. Stefan, do you remember?
Sorry, which flag?
TLS flag or common flags to add for two providers.
We are documenting some flags, but I think there are a bunch missing. So I remember that we are recommending watch namespace, I think, and filter watch value or whatever the name was somewhere. But everything else is probably only documented in main.go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So thanks, Richard. If someone is interested in this kind of topic, so best practice about flags to add to provider, yeah, it would be nice to look at the documentation and see we can improve it. Stefan?
I do remember that Vince opened an issue 1 or 2 years ago that we should standardize flags across providers. But I think there was no work done afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit more, let me say, standardizing means to find consensus. And what I'm looking is the first step, which is let's document what we think it is good to have. And then if we get consensus around that, maybe we can figure it out how to standardize.
Yeah, I think we're beyond the point where we can just say like you have to implement this, but I think sharing best practices gets us probably 80% there. If they make sense, at least if they're actual best practices, because then why not use them everywhere, right?
Okay, thank you, Richard, and Joe. Long time no see.
I know. So we're getting things back up and running again. So that's why we're on 110. So we're kind of catching up, and we're working on the 111 updates now. I'm actively looking through Matt's PR to lift and shift a lot of the code changes there. So we're hoping to get another release out in the next week or so around 111. I did have a question for the community. It seems like it's an easier lift to support V1 beta 1 on 111 and then roll into V1 beta 2 as like a secondary commit change. Is that a good approach, or is it just do everything at once?
So that's a good question. I think that the key answer is the deprecation story.
Okay.
So let me show.
You can search for beta 1. V1 beta 1.
It is the one.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay, so basically, when we started, we look at how stuff are at the various Kubernetes guideline, etc., and we made a plan. So this is when we started. We introduced the. This is when we introduced the API. This is when we introduced V1 beta 2. And basically, sometime down the line, we are going to stop serving V1 beta 1, at least in the default manifest. The API will remain there because we need for conversion for certain time, and then we are going to remove, and that's the plan. That's the current plan. So depending on how you do the migration, it also basically defines when your old API can be removed. And so you have to make sure that your plan is compatible with this one. And it really depends how if you are in a closed environment, and yeah, it really depends by the kind of user you have, how much you can squeeze this plan or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the question I have is, other providers, have you all just jumped when you went from 110 to 111? Did you just move everything to the V1 beta 2, or did you do a V1 beta 1 and then follow with a V1 beta 2 support?
I don't know who is first, Matt or Richard.
Yeah, we did the latter, which is because there was a lot of change already required just to move up to V1 to 111. And so we chose not. And also, I think updating V1 beta 2 would probably imply that we need to do a new API of our own on the CapZ side. And that's maybe you could do it without, but I think that would imply that we need to do a new V1 beta 2 of our own. And
No,
so that's more.
You have to do a beta 2. The problem is that some of our contracts are not compatible, basically.
Yeah. So it's a much bigger ask for us to also do, a new beta. So we're deferring that probably until after the next release, maybe even after 112, just because there was a lot of work already and we didn't want to rock the boat that hard. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in Kappa, we're doing it in a 3-stage process. So the first stage we've done, which is still adhering to the V1 beta 1 contract, but we're using V1 beta 2 internally within Kappa. So the imports, what I'm talking about here. Then the second stage, we're going to add the conditions. And then the third stage is what you're just talking about there, is when we're going to bump the API version to the Kappa version to V1 beta 3, and then adopt all the V1 beta 2 changes in the contract. So I think that's largely what's in line here, isn't it?
Yeah, if I may add, this is also what we did in Cap V, and we are currently completing Yeah, we are currently implementing the new API version in Kappa V. So we have a documentation with our suggested approach, which is the problem is that you are starting a little bit late. So this is what you have to deal with. This is why I'm bringing up a deprecation in your plan. Stefan?
I think I have another way to phrase it differently, but it's roughly the same. So I think logically it's three different steps, sort of. First step could be that you just bump your Go dependencies to 111, your test coverage to test against 111 controllers, but basically you are still consuming core copy CRDs in beta 1, and your own CRDs also don't change. That's like first step, just get go in order end-to-end tests back to green. Then the next one could be that essentially you start consuming core copy stuff as beta 2. And that includes if you have any dependencies to KCP and kubectl config, that one too. So basically from dependency from your side to core copy becomes beta 2. And then the last one is that you change your own stuff to be fully beta 2 compliant with new contract. Basically means a new API version of all your stuff, including all the contract changes, etc. And I think it's basically up to you at which point between those three logical steps you're cutting a new release of your provider or not, right? You could put this all into one release. You can do it one minor release after another. That's basically entirely your choice. I think one interesting point is, while we have a certain deprecation timeline in core copy, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is hitting you at the same point in time. Example, if the copy release in August is dropping beta 1, and you are 4 months behind regarding picking up copy versions, then it's hitting you 4 months later, of course, not at the same point in time. So I think that is something that maybe also plays to your advantage, right? That maybe your goal shouldn't be to immediately get to the very, very latest version of copy and then immediately beta 1 is gone. Maybe you should aim for being only one version behind, which gives you one additional release cycle to spare, essentially. And then get closer later. So this sort of thing. But yeah, I would definitely recommend going through that migration documentation that was linked in the Zoom chat. And then just ping us in Slack if you have questions or something, as usual.
Okay. Nope, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're coming back, picking it back up and moving forward. So this is very helpful.
Yep. And just to iterate, so maybe I will take a look again at the plan, but basically we have to strike a trade-off between ensuring a clean migration, but at the same time getting to a point where we can clean up technical debt, because maintaining conversion and all this stuff is a lot of work. So yeah, but maybe I will follow up in 1 or 2 weeks about this topic. I need to look into it again. Yeah, and Stefan is bringing up. So even if with the current plan, where we already give some slack for people to migrate, etc. We added a buffer release in the middle, etc. It takes years to get rid of an API. So we can stretch it, but we have to get to a point where things basically go away. Okay, we are at the end of our agenda. Some last minute topic? Great. We have some time back. Thank you, Matt, for recording. See you next week.